Welcome to Third Side, everyone. I'm John Shaw.
I'm Jared McGee.
Season's eatings, Jared.
Season's eatings indeed. This
Right.
time of year always makes me hungry, and tonight we have someone, a very special set of guests who could
Got
tell us
two
all
people.
about it.
Yeah,
Two.
we've
We
got
have
the editors, the writers, the collaborators, the brainchilds, or children, I guess it would be, the brainchildren of
Childs
Bon
is better.
Appetit.
Let's go with Childs.
Yeah, let's do that. Childs, brainchilds
Childs.
of Bon Appetit, stories and recipes for human consumption. Alder Strauss and Hydra M. How you guys doing?
Great. Thank you for having us on.
Well, you guys made us have you on. We were like doing stuff, and you're like, "Come on, we got."
We're like, no, I don't want to do it. And
Yeah,
So here we are. No, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. Listen, the book, like, what motivated you guys to do this? Who came up with this, and how?
I came up.
Alder was the idea man, and I made it all a reality. So he'll have to tell
Important
you how
part.
he came up with it.
I honestly don't know exactly how I came up with it.
Thank you for coming, guys. That's awesome. See you later.
Great show. Great
Yeah,
show.
all right, good job. All right, we're done. That was the easiest ever.
Yeah.
I don't know, the way I work with ideas is things just kind of pop into my head, and if they stick well enough and I can work with them, I kind of go with it. I'd have to say, I guess from like movies like Silence of the Lambs, and even like little snippets like in Hostel 2, there's like a brief cannibal scene, but it was just really profound. And I was just really into my writing and in doing that really hard. And I presented Hydra. I think it was in 2015. I presented to her, hey, why don't we do an anthology on cannibalism? I think specifically it was cannibal erotica because her heavy influence and notoriety through Infernal Link Maisie. I kind of whenever I thought of her then, I thought of that aspect particularly. So I guess I angled that idea in that respect. But at that time, she was just encumbered by so many projects that she said, "Well, I can't do it now. Let's put that on the side." And later on, she came to me. I think it was about a year later, and she's like, "Hey, you still want to do that cannibal anthology?" And honestly, I'd forgotten about it because I got so busy with school and. If she hadn't reminded me, this might not have been a thing. We might not have been sitting here right now.
Mm.
But essentially, I believe that's just how it all kind of came to be. I don't know exactly what persuaded me to think of an idea like a cannibal themed anthology, but here it is.
So did you guys bounce ideas off each other? Like, hey, this is what I'm thinking, this is what I'm thinking, and kind of, cross-mogenate it or something?
Well,
Go ahead, Hyder.
when it came to our personal stories that we wrote, we did. We really bounced the ideas off of each other and helped each other better form those ideas. Well, he came up with most of the ideas for the different components to the book,
Hmm.
and I just went out and searched and found the talent.
I just need to know, is this fictional writing or is this based on like actual humans you've eaten?
It's fiction,
It's
obviously.
fiction.
There
You're
are
always-
There are some components to it that cover the history of cannibalism and things like that are nonfiction, but
They're
the
watching us
bulk
right now,
is
aren't they?
fiction.
there's no like stories that are based on true events, but there are stories that are very influenced by like the Donner Party, and then there's ones that are they have ones particularly reminded me. I don't know if it reminded Hydra, but some parts like the Texas Chainsaw Massacre.
Oh, classic, yeah.
But it's done in a fun, original way. But there's certain parts of the story that's like, oh yeah, the person's holding a tool that they just used to kill somebody. Like you can imagine them swinging it around like the end of the 72 or the 70s, the original version.
Yeah.
So you definitely, if you're a horror fan, you get the idea, you get the reference, but there's no like based on a true story kind of thing.
Hmm.
Mm.
So, as far as bringing this about, what were some of the hurdles, that you guys had to navigate or overcome to have this happen?
First, I would say first and foremost is just finding that time to do it. As I was saying, Hydra, she's very busy with her writing, and when I presented it, it was just bad timing in the presentation. But it was such, I think it was such a good idea that it just wouldn't stay in the back on the back burner. And when she had a window open, it came to be.
Yeah.
I would say, and I'll let Hydra elaborate on this, but I guess you can say the headhunting, if you will, of going out and finding people or drumming up interests. And
Yeah.
Hydra can, if you want, right now, you can tell us a little bit how you
Right now.
get into that.
Like
Right
right
now.
now, if you want to.
Like right now.
So are they all
Well,
Satanists though? Really quick, are they all Satanists?
no,
No.
Oh, okay. Because they're like herding cats, like that.
no.
Well, I mean, the right
Hard to
light, the right ball of string can attract all of them. So.
Absolutely. Hydra,
You were
saying?
saying, Hydra?
Well, it's actually not that hard to find people who are willing to submit fiction. Getting good fiction is another is another thing.
Oh,
I mean, I just posted about it in groups on Facebook, and there's a couple of websites that I used where basically writing markets where writers go and look for places to submit.
yeah.
I bet you had to
put in
sift through
requests
some
for
good
DMs
ones.
to those sites. Oh yeah, we got 72 submissions in total.
Mhm.
Yeah, we got quite a few, and
How many made it
another
into the
hurdle-
book?
Another hurdle was just
18.
18 out of 72.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
that speaks volumes in itself.
so
So
another
how is this
hurdle-
anthology unique or different than anything you've written before? I know you both have done some writing, and Hydra especially. You've written some writing a lot like this. How is this one different?
There's a lot of extra components to this one that aren't in most of the other things I've published have been straightforward. Here's a collection of stories, just the stories. With my magazine, I have interviews and things like that, but this really went above and beyond with the extras.
Yeah, I would say
I'm sorry, are we interrupting you, Alder? You got a
No, I'm just a
looks
little
like you got a little
famished.
meal going on. Yeah.
He's got a bone to pick with somebody.
Nice. Oh,
a little famished, but
it's al dente.
like I think what is really unique about this is I think it's one of the most interactive anthologies out there. There's a cannibal crime game I created for it, where you have to solve a cannibal crime based on evidence that's put in different places in the book.
Yeah.
So it breaks it down for
Like
you.
you choose your own adventures.
In a way, but it gives you more freedom to kind of like guide through it, and it really we put it before the stories because one of the other hurdles was like, okay, where do we put this? And I was talking to Hydra, and she was like, why don't we put it? I was thinking of putting it after everything, and she's like, well, why don't you put it before the stories because people can then kind of get more and pay more attention to the stories, like in a quest for clues in the back of their mind. And I thought that was a really good idea, and I moved it around. So this anthology also kind of flows like you're like we're inviting you to dinner, and then you kind of go through the process as you go through the book of kind of like sitting down for a meal and indulging in it, and then at the and then you can skip ahead to the end where they have a recipe section because there's also a recipe book, and you can pair suggested recipes or actual laid out guided recipes with the ingredients. You compare those to the stories, and then you can eat the meal while you read the story and get grossed the fuck out.
Nice.
So-
That's awesome. So who are some of the authors in there, or all of the authors? I mean, only 18. Do you know them all
Well-
off the top of your head?
Hydra, why don't you name a few?
Alphabetically.
And then I can name a few, and then we'll leave a few.
I'm horrible with names, so I will probably definitely leave someone out or mispronounce someone's name. I think
All right, just tell us who your favorites were.
No pressure.
Oh,
it is hard to pick a favorite.
Yeah, I bet.
If I had to pick one, which I know I'm going to butcher the pronunciation of the title because it's Japanese.
Interesting.
Nyo Taimori.
Tamara?
Nyo
Not Tamori.
Taimori.
Okay.
Yo
What you
Taimori?
said. What you said.
Yeah.
It's
Justin
by
Timberlake.
Justin. That one was written by Justin Zimmerman, and it's, if you don't know what the word means, it's the naked sushi models, and it's about a naked sushi model who goes to a party, and things don't quite turn out the way she wants them to.
Yeah.
Darn it.
I really enjoyed that one. It's kind of in my wheelhouse of having a little bit of sex in with the horror. So
Nice.
You know, and that one's done from like a first person kind of view. So she's like retelling what happens to her. And so to see or to illustrate how the recipe pairings go, that one is like a steak and sushi start with a sushi kind of thing. So then you could like get some sushi, get like a side of steak, and then you can prepare it, and then you can read the story. So you'd see how that works. And, you know, I thought that was really funny, unique. And it was just, I think that's what really propelled the anthology forward.
Yeah.
Now, each of you wrote a story of your own that contributed to the book. Can you tell us a little bit about the characters you created and what inspired them?
All right, I'll start. Mine was like, I really see it was kind of a tribute to Stephen King, and really had a lot of heavy influence from Cujo.
Oh, wow.
And it was based in the 70s, and it's about this woman and her baby, and they leave their husband in kind of like, you know, their husband and father out. There's kind of like this vacation retreat area out in this mountainous region. And so she's trying to get to her sister's, and the road's blocked along the way, so she takes a back logging road, and, you know, it's very unstable because it's been raining quite a bit, and also a big high heat's coming in. And so based on the elements and the fact that it's been really stripped of logging in some spots, the car ends up sliding down to a ravine where she's stuck there with very little food and water. But there's also these wolves that are still attached to their territory, but there's very little prey left because of the logging. And so when they come across her and the baby, they're stuck in this car, and she's very injured, and the child's like 18 months or something. So she's stuck in like a catch-22 of survival, where if she tries to get out, she'll get eaten by these wolves, and her baby will too, because she broke her leg. She can't get very far. But also it's very high heat, there's very little drink, and they'll starve or be dehydrated to death. So it's
can't you just, like, you know, quickly run out of the car and you like chuck the baby over there and they go after the baby so you can get away?
Yeah,
Like
that's what I would do.
Like a football, like a Hail
Like
Mary.
anyone would do? No.
Well, you know, I thought of that, but it would have been a lot shorter. And I'm like, well, where do I put the cannibalism in that? Does she, like, you know, take a bite of the baby to get that energy to throw it and then
Not going anywhere for a while?
Yeah.
So what happened? Did she, you know what?
Not yet. What happens?
You can't tell us.
I'm not
You
going to
just
tell you
have to
what
buy
happens.
the book.
No, buy the book. The cheapskate.
Yeah. Does she eat the baby? Does
Right.
she eat herself?
does she do both?
Yeah.
Ooh.
You know what? Turn the page to find out.
Yeah. That's awesome.
I mean,
Buy
look.
the anthology to find out.
Great build-up. Now I got
Yeah,
blue
right.
balls. It's great. Thanks.
So Hydra's story is
Hydra.
a lot more depraved, of course, because it's Hydra, but I'll let her talk about it.
Well, mine, for my inspiration, I was inspired by the serial killers, Belle Gunness and Jeffrey Dahmer. And if you don't know who Belle Gunness was, she was a Swedish-born American serial killer who basically lured men to her farm with the promise of marriage, and she's going to give them the good Swedish life here in America, and she killed them for their money or jewels or whatever they happen to have with them. And I sort of used her and Jeffrey Dahmer's, of course. He wanted to create the perfect lover and ate them. And I sort of merged those two together for my character. And the setting is very much a throwback to The Shining.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the movie The Shining?
Yeah.
The setting is a hotel in the Colorado's mountains, which is closed down for the winter. And she lures her menfolk there and does her thing.
So without giving us too much, like, toward, you know, the ending or what happens or anything, like, What's one of the like examples of something that she's done, like in detail?
Well, the story starts with her. The story starts with her inducing premature labor so she can eat her baby. That's the way.
That's
That's
the
it.
start.
That's all I need. That's great.
All right, guys, it's been great.
I think
I have
Jerry's
to go
gonna go throw
cry.
up. I think Jerry's
I
gonna
have
go
to
throw
go
up
cry
now.
in the
Good job,
fetal
Hydra.
position.
If there's a bucket next to you guys, you can throw up in. That'd be great.
Really, really cool. So is this it's available on Amazon, correct?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's
For
both
Kindle, print.
Yep.
It's going to be a little cheaper to get the print version through Lulu.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Simply because we're able to take 1% off through Lulu, and Amazon takes a pretty big cut. So.
What would you rather we do? Go to Lulu?
Lulu would be better for us and also for the reader because it's 25% off through Lulu.
Oh wow, yeah.
Nice.
And
Win-win.
It's almost $20 through Amazon. It's going to be 15 and some change through Lulu.
Yeah, and,
There you go.
But if you have a Kindle, you're kind of stuck with Amazon. But it's only
Yeah.
$5 for Kindle for Amazon.
Yeah, $4.99 on Kindle. So.
Yeah. Well, I'll make sure I'll put a link in the description, everybody, to right below. So after watching this, click on it and buy it. What I don't know. I don't want to switch gears if we have more to talk about on the book, but I'm just wondering, like, there's a lot of I have writer friends too out there. What's some of the like advice you can give them to, when they want to start writing on their own, to do or be cognizant of and stuff? Any advice?
Self-publishing is very easy now. It's very easy to get something out there. Don't think you can edit it yourself. Don't fall into that trap. Don't fall into I'm an excellent proofreader. I have great grammar. I can do this. I got this.
You'll always miss something. Always miss something.
Like, don't fall into that trap.
So get a second or third set of eyes on that
if you
thing.
want to go the traditional route of having an agent. Okay, I think I lost my connection.
Oh, you're good.
Oh, I thought I was getting dramatic there. I was like, whoa.
Yeah, I know. She's like, if you
want to
go the route of the agent. So,
yeah,
if you want to.
No.
Okay, did I lose my connection there?
No, you just got all. I was ready for some
waiting,
drama. It was like.
Okay,
I have a very specific set of skills.
It had some weird thing up at the top that said like reconnecting or something. Anyway,
That's far.
if you want to do the traditional route and go with an agent, you need to be prepared to put in years, and you also need to be writing something traditional. You can't write vampire rape porn and expect to get an agent and get with Random House.
Yeah.
So, like the music industry, the agents have fucked up the business as well, right?
Pretty much. Pretty much.
You got to do it on your own.
Kindle really changed everything. Kindle was a game changer. Because it really put the power more into the hands of the writers. It changed everything. Because
awesome.
that's a lot of readers prefer Kindle. Like, we will sell probably 4 or 5 times on Kindle what we'll do in print.
Yeah, I have a Kindle too, and even though I buy the paperback because or cover something because I love holding all that stuff, but sometimes it's cool to have that on the Kindle to be able to continue your story or something, and it's really not it's not that expensive to get the Kindle version of most things.
No.
Yeah. Would you say
if the publisher's smart, Kindle books are very reasonably priced.
Yeah.
Would Kindle be apart from Kindle? How else has the publishing industry changed? I mean, or was that like the main force? Was that the Netflix to Blockbuster?
Yeah, that was the iTunes to the record industry basically.
Napster.
I mean, I don't know about where y'all live, but we're down to like I think 2 Barnes and Nobles here in Charlotte, and
wow,
the smaller bookstores have like gone.
Yeah, we're in Phoenix. There's a lot of bookstores around. A lot.
We don't have many here.
Mm.
Like both of the bookstores I used to patron they're gone now.
Damn.
But there's
So
still... There's not.
Amazon, even print books on Amazon kind of changed things. Because with print on demand now, because Amazon owns CreateSpace, which is another self-publishing printer for people.
Yeah, yeah.
Print on demand changed everything. Kindle changed everything.
Yeah.
That's cool. So
It's
when you
funny because
go ahead.
when I first started with this back in 2006, when I first got serious about publishing, Kindle was just being announced, and there were people saying, "Oh, it won't last. People won't want to read books on a device."
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I got a question because, like, I was always wondering this. I never knew the answer to it. Do you make more money as an author going through like an agent in a publishing house or through self-publishing? It would depend on the sales and stuff, right? I mean, but
Yeah.
do
It really depends. Back in the day, you would make more going through an agent because you would possibly get an advance. But the deal is with the advances, you may never see royalties because if the book doesn't sell as well as they think it's going to, you may simply only get the advance.
and then you owe them back. Is that how that works? Just like the music industry?
It depended on the contract. It depends on your contract.
Oh, okay.
Usually they let you keep it. Usually they wouldn't
Wow.
want it back, but
They don't do that in the music
Yeah,
industry.
that'd be rough. That'd be rough.
Wow.
but with print on demand, honestly, it's hard to make any money because the markup is so high to get things onto Amazon and BarnesandNobles.com and all of those places. So if you can get your readers to buy through Lulu or CreateSpace or whatever other printer you're using,
You get a bigger percentage.
you can make some decent money, but once you get Amazon involved, your markup's going to be crazy.
I hate that they do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not doing it for free, huh?
Yeah.
And because
So
they handle so much of the shipping, because they have the Amazon Prime, which guarantees it to the people in 3 days. They offer a lot of
usually appealing
services.
too.
Jared,
So how did you promote the event, and what do you have in mind in the future to get the word out about the book?
How we promoted it was, I'd say 99% of it was just social networking. I also there's called a night gallery here in my town. It's called Bleeding Ham, which is like a film festival, but they had a night gallery that they recently put up where there was some burlesque, and there's also some vendors that came in and did horror themed kind of stuff. And so of course I found that through Facebook, and I contacted the hostess and got in at the last minute. I got a booth set up, and I made a dish from the anthology to help promote it. So it was like a kind of a adaptation of a finger cookie that was based off of. It was like like the Halloween finger cookies, but I actually used red food dye in the sugar cookie recipe, and it came out pink. So it was a great successful experimentation, and I've actually I made that for my family for Thanksgiving, because we had a very unorthodox Thanksgiving, so it's quite popular. But I think that provided a lot of leverage for this night gallery, and so I handed out like free flyers, with a cookie, that kind of stuff, and that got out. And I'm pretty sure we got some purchases. There's some people very definitely interested, both disgusted and delighted alike. But that's the point, right? So
that's the point. Yeah, totally.
Aside from social networking, that's what I did on my side. I don't know if Hydra did anything else, maybe besides like social networking and word of mouth. But if she did,
social networking, and I've got it out to as many reviewers as I can. But the reviews take a while to come in. I've got it. I've contacted some other people who do podcasting and videos and reviews.
What kind of feedback did you get?
Just trying to get it mentioned in as many places as I can.
Well,
What kind of feedback did you guys get?
I came across a 5-star one on Amazon, and they really loved it. They called it a page turner from start to end, and something as they said, not to trump it up too much, but what they said was something Stephen King and Alfred Hitchcock would be proud of. So
Oh wow.
Wow, that's
I
cool.
was
Very cool.
5 stars. Is one review so far. We have it on Goodreads as well. Hydra is more vigilant on that one than I am. So, but I'm sure if she got a review on that, she would let me know. And I'm thinking we just have the one so far, but the book's only been out
Well,
for just
I
over a month.
just
So,
did a giveaway. I just did a
yeah.
giveaway.
Yeah.
I haven't even shipped out the book yet to the winner on Goodreads.
Hmm.
So probably going to be looking at some reviews on there in the next couple of weeks or months. Uh,
Yeah.
Nice.
The book's just newly out. So,
Yeah.
but we've gotten a lot of support through Facebook. A lot of people who's been commented, like a lot of the authors. We have some COS members. We have a lot that aren't,
Hmm.
and they always like when they got their contributors copy, they of course they posted photos of it, and they just praised it, praised it, praised it, which I'm very happy because that's one of the biggest things I was nervous about was how's it going to look in the print because that's what we're sending them, and we spent so much time back and forth formatting it, and to the fact that they were so blown away and liked it, and that even their friends and other people in their friends pages, not just mutual friends,
Yeah.
or sorry, friends list, that they loved it and they wanted a copy too. Uh, you know, just addressing the contributors and those who supported that. Thank you guys, everyone. Thank you so much. I mean, I'm just beside myself with how much people love it.
This is a great time to actually pause the show, everybody.
Sure.
Click the link in the description, order it, and just have that peace of mind and knowing it's coming to you, and then come back and watch the rest of the show. We'll wait a second.
So
Welcome back, everyone. Yeah, totally. No, I got a question. Creatively speaking, how did this book differ from your past works that you've done? Do you feel that this maybe was a better thing or not so as good as some other works? Or what do you feel about that?
I definitely feel this was better than the first anthology I did,
Yeah.
which was now off the market. But that was more cutting my teeth and really figuring out what I was doing.
Learning the ropes. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but so I think it's definitely an improvement over things. How it's different is with my magazine and such. I focus almost exclusively on erotic horror now, and
Yeah.
there's not a lot of
And
erotica
thanks Satan for that.
in this.
So for
That's
me,
awesome.
I did an anthology under my non-pseudonym name, under my non-writing name, because it's a lot more tame than this. But it was my first anthology, and I wanted to head something, and it's great, good stories, everything like that. But I think it just doesn't have the touch that Bon Appetit does.
Yeah.
And it's called Don't Look Back, and it's fictional retellings of urban folklore, which I'm a big fan of. And so it has some of the stuff like this one has histories of cannibalism, that one had history of folklore, the psychology, that kind of stuff, and it has some supplementaries in the back. But I think the supplementaries in Bon Appetit really blew that one away.
Yeah.
And this one was a lot more frustrating, but I think it was a lot more frustrating to do because it was more of a quote quote crowning achievement. It was more of something that was really it was almost like a bucket list item for me.
Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah.
So what's next for you two? What kind of projects do you think you have coming in the future
Go ahead, Heather. I'll
that
give
you
you
can
the
tell us?
I have quite
It's a secret. Yeah.
I'm going to be launching, or already launched, and is about to publish some books through the book publishing arm of Infernal Ink magazine, Infernal Ink Books. Have a collection coming out shortly. We're in the final stages of putting it together right now. by a young Australian author called Joshua Lang. Very talented young man. This anthology, well, it's more of a collection because it's just a single author. It is gory, it is sexual, it is cringe, it is just every horrible thing you can imagine done.
Nice.
And it's wonderful. And it's wonderful.
Does it have boobs in
And
it?
that will be out. What?
Does it have boobs in it?
Lots of boobs. Lots
Nice.
and lots of boobs.
Of course,
Pop-up book, right?
Nice.
So we're gonna be doing that. I have Robert J. Leufold is putting together a collection of his erotic poetry
Mhm.
that we're going to
Nice.
be doing. He's in the final stages right now of compiling everything together. So we're hoping early to mid next year on that. I mean,
Yeah.
we've all worked with Robert. We know the procrastination that can happen there.
Yeah.
But
All the
you know,
good Satanists have a lot of patience. We know. It's
yeah.
it's good.
So he's, we're hoping early to mid next year on that. And I also have a novella from Gregory T. Cross that I'm working on him with right now to get polished and
Yeah.
ready to go. And it's just going to be a full year of publishing next year for me because I'm doing 2 issues of the magazine on top of all
Yeah.
of that.
I spoke to that's awesome. I seriously I spoke to a couple people who got the book because they asked me if I had it yet. I didn't have it yet. I'm sorry. I'm going to go to Lulu now. They know that's the best thing to do for you guys. And I'll snag it like as soon as the show's done. And they were talking about their favorite stories. I'm not going to give anything away, but they both said the same thing, and they did not talk to each other. They said that there was one story in there that was the most touching, and it was by Reverend Thomas Thorne. Can you guys talk on that a bit?
Oh yeah, that one just blew me away.
They wouldn't tell me what it was about either, so I mean, I'm really
Okay, I can give a little
itching
bit
to
of
get the
info.
Now I'm
book.
curious.
It's
Well,
Victorian.
first and foremost, it's a tie-in to Rosemary's Baby because it takes place in the
Ooh.
same building that the Rosemary's Baby story takes place in, but it's like 100 years previous to that.
Satanic
It
Easter eggs,
revolves
yeah.
around the Trent sisters who were cannibals
Wow. That's
Yeah, the
and
Trent
lived in the
sisters,
building.
yeah.
And they were high society women. And it
nice.
centers around them and how they are brought to justice.
Yeah, so it is a really it's like as Hydra said, you got some satanic Easter eggs in there, and it also has a total environment feel about it. Even wherever you go in the story, there's always that element that's there. Just the way he writes it's like a time machine when you start writing it, and it feels like you're there. Like you can almost like hear them. You can smell almost like you can smell the food that they're serving. You can
Wow.
see the symbols on certain said doors. You can see the the decorum, the tribal decorum that they had. It gets into I mean, it's so vivid. It's like going back in time. And I love that. I love it when people paint an environment where it feels like you're there. And honestly, that was kind of the overlying theme of the book. Like, we didn't want to have any zombies. We didn't want to have anything crazy, and there were stories that we were going through, like of the 72 or 3. There were ones that were so good, so well written, and then they just took a big left turn at the end and were like, I want to accept it. I almost want to change some of the submission guidelines, but I can't. It wouldn't be fair. But it would be good for, I think, Hyder, you were saying some of the ones that we didn't want, or that we didn't think would be a good fit for the anthology that you wanted to take for Infernal Inc. So.
Oh,
Yes,
that's
there
cool.
were 3 or 4 I took for Infernal
Yeah.
Ring.
Nice.
Wow.
Out of the
That's still
Very
cool
cool.
though. I mean, that's a good nod. That's a good nod to the authors. I mean, it's hey,
There was
like the
some
project, but it's not fit for this.
Yeah.
there were some they just got a little too supernatural. Like they
Yeah.
had a little too much
Yeah.
of a supernatural element, like a monster. We didn't want monsters eating people.
Yeah.
Yeah,
With
I
all
know.
the with all the writing
Yeah.
and with all the writing that you guys do about this, do you guys ever watch any of the like you're talking about Hostel 2, do you find that watching these doesn't hold a candle to writing, in comparison? Because I've heard that from a few authors.
It all depends on the imagination you have, honestly. It all comes down to imagination. Um, there were certain times in certain stories of this. I'd like to think I have a pretty good and active imagination. I mean, I keep doing creative endeavors just to hold on to it so I don't dull my senses that way. But,
Mm.
when I was visualizing and writing my story, there were certain parts where I had to get a drink of water. There was parts in Hydra's story where I'm like, oh God, I gotta take a break. There were parts in other people's stories where my imagination was just going off the rails, and I'm like, oh God, this is fucked up, disgusting, reportable, and I'm so proud to have it in this anthology. God damn, we're accepting the run with this.
Very cool.
For me, I have a bit of when it comes time for me to watch movies or read for pleasure, I have horror burnout, to be honest with you. Like
So you just
because
switch gears entirely.
yeah, like I spend so much time, like hours a day in the week, reading submissions for the magazine, editing horror stories, editing, my other publishing projects. That it's just when I get done, it's like, okay, I just want to watch Grace and Frankie and
She
laugh.
hits play on her
Yeah.
DVD player and Steel Magnolias comes up,
Yeah,
Well,
yeah, I would
She's
just
watching
want
The
to watch,
Notebook.
oh,
yeah, I just want to watch something kind of quirky and funny and
Yeah,
yeah, me
yeah.
too.
just put this genre aside for a minute.
Yeah, I can see that.
So speaking of film, another feature of the anthology is a list of instances of cannibalism in cinema,
Yeah.
including some TV shows. So I think I collected around 70. And so ever since I've done this anthology, I've kind of looked around and found some of these films and watched them. Like when I first started, I watched The Green Inferno, and I was completely
Oh, yeah.
disgusted by
Yeah.
that, just what
Wow.
Roth does to some of the people, especially the first kill. And then, I took a break from it for a while, and then I read and read these, the anthology contributions and everything, and read the history, and then I went back, and it wasn't as bad. So this book really does desensitize you in that way.
Wow.
And there are some stories in this book that I would love to see as short films. I think there'd be some great ones.
Interesting.
Yeah. So maybe that could be a future thing. I don't know. That's a whole
That would
shitload
be
of work, and
pretty
I can't
cool.
afford the time right now. But that could always be something on the back burner as well. Maybe.
Yeah.
Movie making is a lot more expensive than book making.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I know, Mike, I have all the equipment. About $15,000 worth of equipment. It's expensive.
So maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll
Yeah.
talk.
Yeah.
Maybe
That'd
this
be great.
the sequel to this show, this episode. Maybe the sequel to this episode will be a movie.
That would
The
be
question
cool.
is, what will it be rated? Like, will you imply the nudity and sexual gore, or go straight to it and end up with a NC-17 short film?
I would like to see Diners Club become a short film, and I'd love to see John Waters as the father, the decadent father. I think that'd be awesome. But there's a part in that story where you'd have to film it where you don't show anything. It's the sauna scene because it's on the cusp of what I'm talking about, Hydra. It's kind of like
Yes, I know exactly what you're talking
yeah. But the thing is, it's so
Like a Serbian
shocking.
film.
It's so shocking and
Well,
disgusting. It's so
Let's
shocking.
put it this way. There's a line in it where the female part of the scene asks the male part of the scene, "What's wrong? Have you never finger banged a pussy that can finger bang you back?" So, yeah.
I don't even know how to picture that.
well, I drew a picture. I don't
He drew a
know.
picture for
You want to see the picture? I think I can hold
Yeah,
it.
please. I think we all
Yeah.
deserve it.
Yeah, you definitely deserve that one.
This will be
There's definitely There's definitely stuff
We're
that
gonna
we
be
get.
staring. He's gonna hold up a picture of like Barney or something.
Oh, oh, you can thumb wrestle it. That's nice.
Okay,
Yes.
yeah, and I kind of gave away. That's a bit of a spoiler, but it doesn't spoil too much. It
It
doesn't
looks like
spoil.
Yeah,
Sleeve
no,
of Wizard.
it does. That doesn't.
Because there's
That's
more.
before. That's right
Yeah.
before where the main event really starts in the
Yeah.
story.
And the thing is, the way that develops to where that picture was brought about, you can still read the whole story, get to that, and still be like shocked. And that's one of the parts I had to put down and be like, I don't know if I can accept this. And I talked to Hydra about it, and she's like, just read on, it'll explain it. And it did. I'm like, accepted,
Yeah.
accepted, accepted. And
Yeah, it's
um,
definitely explained and it definitely works with the story.
'cause I did the illustrations. I did the black. I did some pencil or pen. I did some ink,
Yeah.
black and white ink sketches, and some
Did
of
you
them
do
are pretty-
Infernal Ink?
What?
I said, did you do Infernal Ink?
Oh, of course.
I can only
I
imagine
had
the
Hydra
conversation.
bless it.
Corny.
I had.
I can only imagine the conversation between Alder and the author. Like, he's trying to picture something in his head and having this person explain it to him so he can start drawing it out. Like that right there, that's a show in itself.
Oh no.
That should be a short
Um,
film. Yeah.
I wanted to surprise the contributors, so I didn't tell any of them. Well, I teased a few of them with parts of the illustrations I did, but those are like people on my friends list, and not all of them en masse. And then the ones that got the illustrations really liked it, and most of them were subtle. A few of them were pretty overt to kind of what ties into the story, but other ones were kind of like a setting of the story.
Yeah.
So it doesn't give away stuff. Like Turkey Day was just a setting of the shanty town, and it wasn't like the end where blank is revealed. So
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
also in the anthology, the illustrations appear at the end of the story.
Oh, that's kind of I like that idea.
We
Yeah.
kind of
Spoon
wanted to
feeding
go
a
for
thought or something. Yeah.
Yeah, we kind of wanted to go for
That's
with the
cool.
illustrations like you see the caricatures and things in restaurants and some of the restaurants in all in New York, and wanted to kind of have a doodle on a napkin sort of feel to it as well.
Yeah. But I like
But
it because
there's
I like reading a book and creating my own world in it like I do. And then you end up seeing the movie that comes out from the book or something, and you're either pleased or displeased because it's sort of like how you were picturing it or it wasn't or things like that. But it's nice to read the story first and then be presented with this drawing of what you guys thought. So yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah,
I like
and
that.
you know what? I'll do one more, and I'll show you the one I'll talk about with Florence from
Up a little.
Marlowe's Turkey Day.
Up a little.
Oh yeah, okay.
You see, it's just a setting, and so
Yeah.
that doesn't give you much, but when you look back on it, I think it's nostalgia. So when
Yeah.
you read the story, and then you look at the graphic, you're like, yeah, okay, that's cool. I kind of appreciate it more, and I've always liked the Lovecraft anthology, the ones that were actually just like, or the collections of his stories, or the anthologies by Lovecraft-inspired people, and some of them have amazingly gorgeous illustrations, and I wanted to kind of take that and play it forward. So
Yeah.
I think the first book that ever had the illustrations similar to what you're describing, but pulled me in this genre was those old scary stories to tell in the dark. Do you remember those?
oh,
Yeah.
Short little stories,
Love
some
those.
longer than others, but there'd
Yep.
be
Yeah.
one little kind of a pencil drawing,
yeah,
and it would just ruin, 9-year-old me's mind as I'm reading this stuff. Not even sure all the words I'm reading, but you can't put it down.
Yeah.
yeah, and that was a big influence in my illustrating, because I came upon those when I was like fourth grade, and I got obsessed with them because illustrations were just so otherworldly, and like it was like stepping into a nightmare, but none that you could ever dream of. So you had to have somebody put it in a picture for you, and that
Yeah.
influenced a lot of when I first I did like a first collection of short stories that ended up being submitted and accepted in various different places. But I put illustrations that were very, very, very influenced by Stephen Gamble's illustrations.
Yeah. I'm picturing this thing in my head where you remember Creepshow,
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
where it's just this thing, or even what was that, the I can't remember the name of it now. The one with the cat, the little cat in there, and the guy had to stop smoking.
Oh yeah.
What is that one
that
called?
was Cat's Eye.
Cat's
Cat's
Eye.
Eye.
Yeah. So it's like a collection of these short stories and things like that. That's what I could picture. This book just going into that type of thing. That'd be just killer.
Well, The Crate was one of my favorites. Is one of my favorite stories of all time, and that's Creature.
Yeah.
I found a T-shirt with that. I need to buy it. I'm like, I need to buy the T-shirt with the creature from The Crate.
Yeah, that was awesome. Well, I'm sold, guys. I'm definitely gonna get the book because from what I've been hearing about it, and it's just whether you love it or you hate it, as far as horror and disgusting things like that, get it, because
Also,
it's
Pagan
worth
Make
it.
you feel alive.
Yeah.
High Priestess Nadrami, I've submitted some recipes to it as well.
Wow.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
There's a little
There's
more
the
icing on
cherry
the
on
cake.
top.
Cocktail. We have
Yeah.
some cocktail recipes from her.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are good. I don't know what we
I've-
have on time.
I've never had a bad cocktail from Peggy. So
No.
yeah.
You guys want to hear a few
There's
jokes?
a lot of love in that. Yeah, sure. Go ahead. Are
There's
they knock
some,
jokes?
I put together some jokes.
An entire book worth.
No, just a few. Why don't cannibals eat clowns?
I don't know.
I don't know.
They taste funny.
Uh,
I know they're dad jokes, not
That
all of them, but here's one that's relevant, depending on where you're at. But what
we
do
lost John that day.
cannibals? What?
I said we lost John that day.
Yeah. What did
Got it.
what do cannibals make out of politicians?
I can't even think of anything
An
stupid.
improvement?
Bologna sandwiches.
Oh, okay.
A what?
Yeah. Bologna sandwiches.
sandwiches.
That's about right.
And I'll
Yeah.
give you one more. Okay? Because there's like
Yeah,
23
perfect.
in here.
All right, it's got to be the
What is
best
it?
one though. What is it?
I don't know if it's the best one, but it's really gross. What did the cannibal do after he dumped his girlfriend?
I can
Flushed
already
it?
imagine.
Flush the toilet?
Oh man, you could have won some money there, but he wiped.
I didn't win.
Yeah.
Oh, you
That's what I
wiped.
figured.
You were so close. You're
Damn
in the ballpark if you want to imagine that.
I was in the bowl.
It was in the
Yeah, I was
bowl.
in the bowl.
I knew
Yeah.
you'd get the sick depraved one. I know you, John. I knew you'd get the sick depraved one. I knew maybe not the dad jokes because you need to practice those, but
Yeah, I think we play Xbox too much.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Or not enough. I don't know. Yeah. Guys, I want to thank you for coming on. I really had a good time, and I'm sold. If you're watching this show and you don't click on that Lulu link, you suck. So, yeah.
Pretty
Oh.
much.
What?
I think she's allergic to
Everybody
publicity.
saw it, Hydra.
Hydra's
Everybody saw
allergic
it.
to publicity.
I'm allergic. I'm allergic to the dad jokes. That's what.
Yeah.
it is.
Yeah. Yeah, they
It was
taste funny.
wonderful being on.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I enjoyed it. Yeah.
Awesome, guys. Till next time,
All right.
everyone. Hail Satan.
I'll say.
Hail Satan.